Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the semifinals, the best of 7 match. Please welcome to the stage, TSL Polt. And his opponent, none other than the handsome Toss himself. Ladies and gentlemen, from Team Liquid, Hero. Gentlemen, if you will please shake hands. Good luck, have fun. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you, Clutch. Sean, it's about time for us to get started with our first semifinal of the day. It will be a best of 7. We will be starting on Ohana.
I'm stupidly excited. Honestly, Hero is probably my favorite Protoss player ever. TSL Polt has been increasingly my favorite Terran player because he does so much attacking in the mid game. For 3 months or so, the Terran strategy in almost all the matchups has been sit on your ass until you have at least 2-2 and then attack with only Marines. And that's brought Terrans a lot of success, Ben. But we see Polt emphasizing the Marauder heavily, like cutting the reactors on the barracks. Very often you'll see him on 2 base with 5 barracks, and only one has the reactor to churn out as many Marauders as possible. So he ends up bludgeoning the Protoss down while expanding en masse. And it's really cool to see that macro Brood War style of just overrunning the Protoss player as opposed to the emphasizing ghosts or drops in the mid game.
Oh, I absolutely love it. Polt has been a guy that likes to fall back on the Marauder for a long, long time, but his mid-game aggression, as you've already pointed out, is so characteristic. The first time that Polt really jumped out at me was when he played against Stefano at the Lone Star Clash. Yeah. Way back at Lone Star Clash 1, playing Marauder Hellion in a way that I've never seen it played before. Since then, he's just consistently gotten better and better and better and better. And here he is, semifinals of the North American Star League Season 4, as we go into game number 1 on Ohana. There we see Hero's player card. Hero had a pretty solid season here at the North American Star League, 5-3 overall. But he's made it back once again to another offline final. Fresh off his DreamHack Championship, the 2nd time in a row Hero's won DreamHack winner. He will be a very difficult opponent for TSL Polt.
It's really interesting to see Hero not performing as well in the group stages of NASL.
Yeah, he had a couple of upset losses through the mid-season, but he was able to keep it together enough that he was able to make it into the wild cards, easily cruise through the wild cards, cruise through the playoffs. Sean, he's in the semifinals now, and he has not dropped a single map since the postseason started.
Well, let's go ahead and introduce that superstar down in the bottom right, having one of the best records in the history of NASL. Give a cheer for your first semifinalist, TSL Polt.
And up in the top left-hand corner of Ohana, the blue Protoss player has not dropped a tournament match to a Terran since I don't know when. Liquid Hero.
Now, I would argue that this matchup boils down to a very, very simple timing. You can understand almost all the openings if you just think about the 10-minute mark. Almost all Terrans will be building up to medevacs with a big ground army at that point, and that's when the Protoss really starts to freak out and go, oh my gosh, how do I defend my front and my back from drops? I need to have units in both places. So you'll see things like Robo Bays getting started just before the 8-minute mark, so that way a Colossus will pop out at the 10-minute mark. We're starting speed for Zealots at 8 minutes and 30 seconds, so it'll be done by 10 minutes. And already we're seeing Polt go straight for the command center, so we'll be following that up with double barracks.
Fast command centers. Sean, speaking to the sort of 10-minute timings that Terrans are very much so trying to exploit in the matchup, what do you think of Hero's playstyle, which is so often not making Colossi, at least not initially?
Well, for instance, a 4-gate hits before 10 minutes. It's an excellent way that he used to thwart Teja in the previous round. But in truth, that's something that Hero has been going for that is pretty much long lost in the matchup, is these really weird other builds. Like, for instance, already we're seeing Hero do the 1-gate instant Nexus.
Before Cybercore.
Yep, before Cybercore, even actually having only mined, it looks like 50 gas.
So very aggressive expansion there from Hero. This is something he does reactively because he does scout very early. He was able to see that his opponent was going for the fast expansion and was able to drop his own Nexus just ever so slightly later than Polt throwing down the command center. Polt follows this up with two barracks, which is quite normal.
Yeah, you kind of have to go 2 barracks. There's way too many attacks that just kill you off. Even a very simple chrono-boosted double Zealot into a Stalker can kill off many players who build just a single barrack, so want to avoid that. Hero, Hero's one of those players that you watch play, and then when you're done, you think, oh, dude, I'm going to start playing again. I haven't played in a few months. I'm going to do what Hero does. And then when you try to do it, you lose like 50 games in a row because he has this free-form style where he's using all these odd mixtures of units and microing them perfectly. Like each of his Stalkers has killed off 30 Marines. It's insane the way he's able to pull it off, but it's also, it makes it just so difficult to play against him. You almost have to just rely on standard defense.
I like that you put it that way, because Hero's kind of one of those players that you almost love to love, but you also love to hate because you can never replicate what he does. It's just a sort of special understanding, a sort of special application of what the way he actually plays the game.
I love the idea of enjoying hating him for that reason. Like, what an unusual build. Oh, screw that guy.
Well, it's like you said, you watch him play, and then you go and you try to do it yourself, and it doesn't line up. For instance, we just saw Sort of play an amazing series against Hyun. If I tried to only make Hydras, Sean, I would never win a game.
And here Sort of is in the semifinals. You just need to make a few extra Hydras. We call that macro.
We call that perfect injects.
I have a show, Ben.
A lot of Marines popping out here for Polt. He is dropping his initial tech lab. Everything looking pretty normal. Hero's side of the map, it's just gateways.
I like this really fast Robo Bay. He's going to get his observer out and just check out everything that's going on. But, ooh, this very early double assimilator looks a lot like a fast Colossus play.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Polt right now continuing to just add in that early game infrastructure. Still hasn't thrown down the factory. He's just now about to have the gas to do so. And he is inching ever so much closer to that 10-minute timing that you were talking about, Sean. We're going to see him push out with 2 medevacs.
I mean, I honestly not only hope we get to see that, but also what other sort of crazy stuff Polt's going to be doing. I mean, we've seen players like Flash demonstrate how strong only Marines is, and here we have Marauders coming out. We don't see any additional add-ons on these barracks when ordinarily players would be getting those right now. The 8:30 mark is another key time for Terran, whether they decide to throw down extra double barracks or an extra command center. It's a really big reveal. And look at this. Super fast Robo, and knowing Hero, he's probably just going to use it to transition into Archon Zealot.
Yep. He has, of course, the absolute freedom to get those Colossi out just to make him safely, and then he can start working on those transitions. He's also adding the double forge, and this is an awful lot of tech off of just 2 bases, Sean.
Yeah, you have to cut sentries, which is a little uncomfortable, and actually... Hero putting the only 2 sentries he has to serious work. Just wants to make sure that absolutely nothing gets a few inches nearby his ramp. Observer now floating in. Really cool angles on these depots from Polt to spot against the War Prism play.
It gives him a lot of vision. Hasn't put that building at the very kind of tip of the peninsula there in his main base. But we see Polt pushing out. A couple of Marauders, a lot of Marines there. And this is before medevacs.
This is a nice timing that we're seeing more and more players just try to force to happen earlier and earlier and earlier, where, wow, is he actually going to try to strike with Stim beforehand? This is a nice play. It forces Hero to build something out of his gateways when ordinarily he'd want to be just chilling, and it looks like, is Polt going to go for this?
He might. Colossus is not out. That's a great scan, kills the Observer. That means Hero's playing in the dark. There's only a few seconds before the Colossus is out, and with good force field. Uh-oh, Hero should be able to hold. Those are actually pretty solid force fields. Cuts off a lot of those Marines, losing a single Stalker. But otherwise will repel Polt's aggression. Colossus is now out, and Polt knows it. He's going to have to back off.
Yeah, so, you know, again, the 10-minute mark is the timing when medevacs are out, so Polt being very clever and saying, well, I'm going to attack you at the 9-minute mark. Surprise! Unfortunately, without those medevacs, he ends up losing a pretty good bulk of those Marines. But this is the trademark Polt that I love watching so much. Not favoring reactors on the barracks and favoring 2 more barracks before he gets a 3rd command center.
Yeah, and of course Hero's pretty aware of this. He has a probe patrolling the back of that third base. You can see that Polt hasn't dropped the command center. Actually, as the command center goes down, Hero's going to be very, very aware of it. Perfect position on that probe, knows exactly what his opponent's up to, and will use that sort of key as his prompt to push out on the map.
No combat shield quite yet, and interestingly, no concussive shell either. Very typical mix from Polt, 3 tech labs, 2 reactors, and also increasingly the sort of PVT du jour of this matchup, going for the one single Colossus. It's excellent at covering the front, and then you just get a stupid amount of gateways, and then you don't really warp in that much with them. You just try to go for an early third base, early upgrades, and wherever those medevacs arrive, you just warp in as a response. Something
that White Raw started doing a while back. Also, no thermal lance for that Colossus, so Hero is investing as little as he possibly can in the Colossus tech, and is instead going to favor this gateway emphasis, these upgrades, and ultimately the Templar tech, which is sure to go down pretty soon.
Wow, Polt's being really diligent about spotting for all these pylons right now. Again, we see Hero doing this really interesting maneuver. He builds these pylons along the edges, for one, for basic counterattacks, but also it allows him to constantly re-see where his opponent's army is. And whenever he sees it kill off a pylon, he takes these huge strides forward with an ordinarily defensive army. So that keeps Polt as far back on the map as possible.
Those pylons are also excellent at spotting medevacs, as those are placed along paths that those medevacs often take when they're going for drops. There have been no efforts of Polt to drop, but he's going to stem a single Marine around the back where he will confirm that Hero's taken a third base. Both these players smoothly transitioning and heading right up to the late game, as the Templar Archives is finishing up now for Hero, as are his 2-2 upgrades.
Polt really powering up into the big mid-game. Is he getting those extra upgrades? Polt does have a tendency to de-emphasize the engineering base, doesn't rush for them, get 2-2 as fast as humanly possible, just gets a +1 and then a +1 and then just sort of builds as he can afford it. Looks like he just wanted to make sure that those Marines weren't sleeping, just give them a stim and then continue standing.
Polt has literally spotted every pylon on the map. He's taken out all of Hero's vision. He's taken away all of Hero's ability to warp in anywhere. Hero's going to have to rely on this new warp prism if he wants to actually do any harassing, and it is headed out. 4 zealots inside that prism. It's going to make its way down the right side of the map. Polt right now just sort of securing as much map control as he can with this army.
2-2's wrapping up, and this is a really fun play, getting this warp prism up right now. Terran is trying to be as far to the Protoss side of the map as possible.
As Hero is going to catch Polt's army out in the middle of the map. At the same time, the 4 Vikings catch the warp prism in the corner. Beautiful play by Polt. How did he know?
Gosh. I mean, may as well spot the mobile pylons too. Taking those out very, very nicely.
Just perfect play so far. Hero is pushing forward pretty aggressively. He's got fantastic upgrades. He has charge. So, I mean, this is a very formidable army. The Colossus represents some sort of anti-infantry, but there's also 2 High Templar and Storm's about to finish.
Oh, but the arc is looking very, very nice for Polt. He's pulling back along this side, but this isn't even the bulk of his army. He's taken out the Colossus. We're seeing no ghosts, no even attempt to get any ghosts at this point, and there starts going down the retreat Storms. Hero was anticipating that this attack would not work.
Those are really nice Storms. Hero going to try and stop and make a small stand, but with good force fields, Polt has got to stop the chase.
Ghosts now can be produced, couple of units getting lost, but Protosses ordinarily are expecting to lose in a straight-on fight with a Protoss player. The only way you really stay alive is with Storms. So again, Hero finds out when he can move forward by picking off, or seeing when Polt's picking off pylons, and then he leaps all the way to the other end of the map. And he's just going to retreat, and that way when Polt chases him, Polt is running into the Storms.
Hero has remade his warp prism and is once again going to try to make its way down the right half of the map. Also, a bunch of zealots being warped in on the left side. They're going to try to make some harassment runs down towards the bottom left. So as this is happening, Polt is pushing forward. He's maxed out, Sean, 192 supply against 160.
Polt just building a gigantic mid-game army and not even any energy for feedback. Looks like there's attempts from Polt to strike at the front as well. But there's the Colossus, the versatile unit, being able to hop up on the high ground, blasting that down. Polt's also looking for another entryway right as these Zealots get down to the third base.
Meanwhile, Zealots do accost that third base. Polt pushing up into the natural, pushing up into the third base. Nice storm there by Hero. The drop in the main base has been mostly dealt with. Very well played, but Hero's losing so much ground outside of his natural, outside of his third base, warping in Zealots frantically on all fronts. The harassing Zealots in the third base have killed every single SCV, but I think Polt should stabilize. There is a warp prism in his main base. Nothing has been warped in off of it yet.
Hero is barely starting to stabilize with an excellent storm, and Hero continues to step in. He needs about another warp in round. Range for Colossus almost done. 3-3 for Protoss almost done. TSL Polt's window is slowly dwindling as Hero is just storming through here. Excellent control, but Polt's third base is in shambles. He's catching this Colossus. He's going to have to lift up and run.
At this point, Polt has no choice really but to back out of there. Hero comes away from that with 115 supply against about 130. Now he's going to start warping in the main base, and Polt's out of position for this as well, as he still hasn't, or he's just now finished cleaning up his third. Command Center will be saved. It's no longer burning, but the Warp Prism harass continues.
This is an awful spot right now for Polt. He does have a little bit of the supply lead, but he doesn't have a mining third. He needs to begin producing ghosts again. Not as many reactors as you'd think in the normal late game, but Polt is doing a pretty cute job of splitting up his units. Now it's Polt who's saying, I need to keep Protoss back.
He's going to get aggressive again, Sean. He's got a small supply lead, but a huge army supply lead. 95 army supply to 50, nearly doubling Hero. And he's going to push right up into the natural expansion once again. There is still no thermal lance. The Colossi can't really engage High Templar. Don't have enough energy for Storm, so Polt...
Oh, he's targeting the Templar Archives. That's going to be big if he can take it down, and he does manage to eliminate it.
It does fall. Meanwhile, another force pushing down into the third base. Polt is really spreading Hero out. Hero can't be at every place at once. Great positioning. I guess Thermal Lance is finished for that Colossus. It's zapping very, very far away. 130 supply on either side. 82 army supply to 52 army supply. So Polt still with more units on the ground. Unaware, however, of this fourth expansion that Hero has taken on the low ground.
This is just such a cool play from Polt. He's had the ability to make a ghost for quite some time now, but he's still not producing them. He's instead favoring building more Marauders, so that way he can be faster, be more aggressive. Ghosts don't have stims, so you can't kite with ghosts.
That's a great point, Sean, as a couple of medevacs are going to make their way up into the main base at the same time.
I have a show, and there it looks like Liquid Hero doing some excellent warp-ins to try to thwart this, but again, the Marauders have such a high hit point count that this allows Polt to unload all of his units and get them stimming, as opposed to losing Marines one at a time.
Excellent upgrades on these Zealots. 3-3 against the 2-2 bio means that the Zealots by themselves able to really do some pretty substantial damage to the bio forces of Polt. Finally, Polt spots this expansion, but at this point, he really doesn't have the army supply to do anything about it. Hero's completely stabilized. He's well ahead in supply. In army supply, it's now even. And look at this army, man. 3-3 upgrades, Archons, Colossi with Thermal Lance, and plenty of Templar. It's looking much better for Hero now.
So Ben, I'd want to ask, do you think Hero you'd actually define as being ahead at this point?
I would say yes. I would put Hero substantially ahead. He's ahead in workers. He's ahead in bases. His upgrades are phenomenal, and his tech just looks great.
It's so crazy because this game has been, ooh, very nice snipe there. This game has been so back and forth. It's looked as though Polt's going to win a number of times. It's looked as though Polt's been behind a number of times. He keeps attacking, but Hero, now that he has his 3-3, he still has about another 30-second window to be able to stay in this game with the upgrade lead. Oh. Excellent defensive storms, another nice round of warp-ins. Polt getting a few pickoffs, but has enough units that he can still lift up and back out.
Yeah, actually Hero does a great job catching this. He's going to kill off a lot of this harassing force. These two medevacs will come back another day. Polt is never attacking in just one spot. He's always dropping somewhere so he can attack somewhere else, sometimes doing that 2 or 3 ways at a time. As fourth command center finally finishes up for Polt. Man, he has mined out his main, he's mined out his natural, and his third is very, very thin. Polt, I think, is kind of running on fumes at this point.
It's one of those funny things that, you love to just talk about how the mule counts as like 15 extra workers and whatnot, but it also increases the Terran mining rate. You're not getting extra minerals, you're just increasing your income rate. So Terrans tend to go bust on their expansions very, very quickly. Look at this third from Hero that he got quite early, and this third from Polt that's even been knocked down for a long amount of time. Still has very few minerals at it. Polt, just losing track of a few units for a few seconds. They end up falling. Another Warp Prism drop, but Stormers are in here as well.
Oh, this is going to be some great Prism harass here, Sean, as the army of Polt is way out of position, and it's really not even moving. A couple of Zealots unloaded. The High Templar inside that Prism are looking for some workers to hit, but the Marines!
An excellent answer storm right there from Hero. Hero continuing to step to the front with this crazy high mobility style of Protoss. Has managed to now seize the clear upper hand as he is taking his 5th base.
Hero's PVT looking phenomenal, Sean. He's up 192 supply to 147, and he is pushing forward. There's a great storm on top of all the Marauders. The main army is just sitting back. He's biding his time. He's poking and thinning out his opponent. He's up 50 supply, and now he's going to go for it.
Oh, he needs to get some huge EMPs, but instead they just get annihilated in a matter of seconds. Hero storms forward without any need for snipes, EMPs. Good game.
Liquid Hero.
Wow. An impressive and solid game number 1.
I don't think he loses Protoss versus Terran, man. And I don't remember his PvT being this dominant. It's just like DreamHack winner. He was, I don't know. It was maybe the next evolution of Hero.
Well, it's one of those funny things that happens when you have a very, very attack-focused player, really aggressive player, where when he's losing, Hero's almost looking like he's killing himself in the game, just having units just go off, picking poor engagements, and the only way that you sort that out is with a lot of experience. And clearly Hero still making these huge steps forward, still moving his full army forward, but then just force-fielding to retreat. Playing conservatively, but still attacking at every single opportunity, and his resilience is just phenomenal. His multitasking is just as good as Polt's.
Brilliant play by Hero. He goes up 1-0 over TSL Polt. Huge shout out to Epson Projectors. They brought us that last map. We're going to take a very, very short break. We'll be right back with more StarCraft 2.